A very happy afternoon to all of you present here. I, on behalf of Principal and staff of Sheshadippuram Institute of Commerce and Management, would like to welcome the speaker for the day, Vivekananda, who is our first year BCom student. Vivekananda B studied PUC in Sheshadippuram Composite University College and is awarded as the best outgoing student for the year 2018-20. He is the highest awarded student in overall cultural, literary, and sport activities in the college. He has participated in various inter-college competitions, has hosted several college functions, and has also been college cultural and literary coordinator. He is awarded Student of the Year for Sadashiv Nagar High School thrice. Hearty congratulations to you on all your accomplishments. I welcome you. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to our beloved principal, Professor Vidya Shivananavar Madam. I welcome you, ma'am. I would like to extend a warm welcome to Assistant Professor Suresh B. Sir, who is the co-convener for Business Lab. I welcome you, sir. I welcome all the teaching, non-teaching staff and the students for this webinar. Over to you, Vivekananda. All the next slide.
Thank you. Directly start with it. You want video? No, it's fine. Well, thank you. The previous slide.
First slide.
First slide. A happy afternoon to one and all present here. I'm Vivekananda B of first year BCom A section. And I wanted to explain about one topic that we miss out. Like this is very important, which we don't learn in a very early stage. And we start thinking about it when our 30s or 40s or 50s, when we don't have much time left. So I'm not any kind of a certified finance trainer or any kind of like a specialist or something, but I'm just a regular student who wanted to share this information with my fellow friends. So let me start off. So investing your hard-earned money in assets which can generate enough returns to sustain through your retired life is very important. So investing, it is a lifelong affair and one has to devise an efficient plan to save and invest throughout your working years. So this is the reason why you need to invest. So before we understand like getting deep into why and all the details, so let's see what happens when you don't invest. So let's see what happens when you don't invest, okay? Assume you earn 50,000 rupees per month, of which you spend 30,000 towards the cost of living. And therefore, you're left with around 20,000 rupees surplus every month. So let me repeat. So you earn 50,000 working in a bank or any kind of a job. So you're earning 50,000 and you spend 30,000 for all your cost of living. This covers everything. So all your expenses, your rent, your different kinds of desires and everything. And you're left out with 20,000 rupees. So this money, what you do, you choose not to invest this and leave that as it is in cash form. Now the question is, at this rate, how much money will you have by the time you retire? So that we understand it more simple, so let us ignore the effect of tax in the future and make a few simple assumptions. And the place of work where you're working, your owner is very generous. That is, your employer is very generous and it gives you a 10% salary hike every year. And the cost of living increases by 8% year on year. And you are, let us think you are around 30 years old. So you're 30 years old now, and you plan to retire at the age of 50. So this implies that you have 20 working years left with you. And after this 20 working years, you don't intend to work afterwards. And let us think that your expenses are fixed and you don't foresee any kind of expenses in the future. And the balance of cash of rupees 20,000 per month is retained in the form of cash. Probably, let us say, in your bank's savings account. So going into it, let us do the math and let us see what is the value that you'll have after 20 years. That is by the time you're 50 and you retire. In your first year, you earn 60,000, or sorry, 6 lakh rupees. So in your first year, you earn 6 lakh rupees. That is 50,000 per month into 12 months. And your yearly expenses are 3,60,000, that is 30,000 per month into 12. And your yearly savings is 2,40,000, that is 20,000 per month into 12. And in the second year, as I mentioned earlier, your boss is generous and he gives you a 10% hike. So this 6 lakhs, which is in the previous year, in the second year, you earn now 6,60,000. So the expenses increases by 8%. So let us do the retained cash and so on and so forth for the various years. Moving on to the next slide. So here on the right side, you can see that on the right side, you can see that, just give me a second. So you can see that in the first year, your income is 6 lakh and your expense is 3,60,000 and the cash you retained is 2,40,000. That is what you save and you leave it as it is. And if we see the example of 10th year, you earn 14 lakhs 14,000 rupees and your expenses are 7 lakh 19,000 rupees and the cash you retain will be 6 lakh 95,000 rupees. And when you come to the final 20th year, as you, for 20 years, your income increases by 10% and your expenses increase by 8% and you're leaving the cash just like that. So if you see that, you'll be earning around 36 lakhs 69 rupees and your expenses will be 15 lakhs 53,000 rupees and your cash retained will be 21 lakhs 15,000 rupees. Yeah, it is a huge number when you don't see taxation and any kind of a thing. So that it is simple, I'm explaining it like this. So now let us see here. After 20 years, the total amount that will be left out with you will be 1.7 crore rupees of hard work money that you would have accumulated. And your expenses are fixed. Your lifestyle has not changed over the years. And you probably even suppressed your lifelong aspirations like getting a better home, a better car, or international vacations, etc. And post-retirement, that is after you take your retirement after 50 years, assuming that your expenses will continue to grow for 8 years, your 1.7 crore rupees, which is a huge amount you're thinking right now, will only last for 8 years as you're not working anymore. So the savings will just go off after your retirements. So this is the fact what happens if you don't invest. Now let us consider you invest, okay? And you select an investment option that grows say about at 12% per annum. So let us see the chart now. So at the end of first year, instead of keeping the cash, you start investing. End of first year, you retain 2,40,000 rupees. At 12% for 19 years, you keep it aside. And in the second year, you retain 2,71,000 rupees at 12% and keep it aside or invest into an option for 18 years, and so on and so forth. So at the end of 19 years, your first year investment of 2,40,000 rupees grows into a huge amount, that is 20,67,000 rupees. So you can see your income is 6 lakhs, your expenses are 3,60,000, the cash retained is 2,40,000, and after 19 years, you are left with 20,67,000 rupees. That is the magic it can do for just a year's savings. So in the second year, your 2,71,000 grows to 20 lakhs 85,000 rupees. So when you total it, or before totaling, let us see the 19th year. So you earn 33 lakhs 35,000 rupees, and your expenses are 14 lakhs 38,000 rupees, and your cash retained will be 18 lakhs 97 rupees, and your investments total value, only because it is invested only for 1 year, it will be 21 lakhs 25,000 rupees. So the totality of all this at the end, so if you add up the final values, you will have a massive amount of 4.2 crore rupees in your bank account, which is like 2.4 times higher than what you would have saved if you would have just kept your money idle. And I'm also talking about when you're like 30 years old and you're just saving it for 20 years. That is until your retirement for 50th year. So you can imagine the magic or just the, the speciality of compound interest. So this is the main reason why you need to start investing. And the earlier you do, the better it is. So let me move. To summarize, you have three main reasons why you need to start investing today. The first point will be to fight inflation. So inflation is a one such thing that if someone foresees it, so if you start predicting your future, you can tackle it in a very better manner. So imagine like 20, 30 years behind, let us go, move from 2020, like 2000s or your 19s. So you can imagine the value of your commodities, the value of the things that people would purchase, the value of 1,000 rupees, 1 rupee, even paise were had their values. And if you compare it to today's date, paise are not even seen, and your rupees like you can't even like legit buy a chocolate for half a paisa, and you can't buy vehicles for thousands of rupees. That is when you compare it. So this is what inflation does. So even if you have like 1 crore in today's times, if you keep on saving it for future 10 years, 20 years down the line, it will be nothing, I suppose. So fight inflation. So by investing, one can deal better with the inevitable growing cost of living. That is generally referred as inflation. So when you start investing, like as I told, your amount was 1.7 crores. So think about having 4.2 crores in your account rather than 1.7. So 4.2 will have a better value and you can fight inflation in a better way. And the second point will be create wealth. So by investing, one can aim to have a better corpus by the end of the defined time period. So you can have a better value of amounts by the time you retire, whatever your plans might be. So by the time period, so it can be like your children's education or their marriage or house purchases or any kind of retirement holidays you plan. All these can be better dealt when you invest. And the final point will be to fulfill your financial aspiration. So who doesn't want to get a better home, a better car, a quality vacation, or have a better life, you know? There's a saying that yes, money is not everything, but without that you cannot get anything. So just like that, you need to. It helps you when you invest. It helps you get a better home, a better car, or quality. As I gave examples. So now that you are hopefully convinced, so here is a bigger question. So let me give a brief idea about where to invest. Will be your next question. So where to invest? So having figured the reasons to invest, so when you think about where to invest, the first thing when it comes to investing is to choose an appropriate asset which matches your risk profile. So every individual has a different risk profile. So whichever is most apt for them, they must choose. And the most popular assets are as following. They are, you have your fixed income instruments, then you have one of the most famous equity, and you have your real estate, and then gold. So these are like the main important investments that one can make. So whichever way you look at it, these are the only four viable investment options available. And the trick is to make sure we invest very wisely to ensure our investment results in a reasonable rate of return for every unit of risk undertaken. And the risk and reward of investment go hand in hand. So all of us, as we learned in our first years in our classes, so lower the risk, lower the return, higher the risk and higher the potential return. So this applies for all the investments that is included here. So risk and reward are like two sides of this same coin. Just a second, let me check if anyone's there. So let us move to the next thing. Let us see all of this in detail. So let me start with fixed income instruments. So traditionally, fixed income instruments are assets with limited downside risk and limited return. So the returns in fixed income are in the form of interest payments. So based on the fixed income instrument, the interest payment might be dependent. You might get it in your quarterly or half yearly or annually. So typically fixed income investments include your bank fixed deposits. So investing in your FDs, which give like constant returns and you don't have much of risk to be involved. And investing in bonds issued by the government of India, and also like in detail, like the bonds issued by government agencies like HUDCO, NHAI, Indian Railways, NTPC, etc. So these are a few to name. And also you can invest in bonds like private agencies like Mahindra Finance, Shriram Transport, Muthoot, etc. So as of June 2018, I have the data of 2018. The typical return from a fixed income instrument varies between 7% to 10%. Investment in fixed deposit is best suited if you want to protect your capital and at the same time earn a moderate return. So this is about your fixed income. So this is mostly suggested when you don't want to take much of risk and you just want to go in a flow and you're already like satisfied and just to make that safe capital protecting. So you don't have much of risk involved, to sum it up. So the next instrument that I would make a mention is equity. So equity is one of the most famous things we've heard. As a commerce student, we've always been learning about the shares, the securities, and different kinds of commodities or any kind of derivatives that we can trade in. So investment in equities involves buying shares of publicly listed companies. The shares are available on exchanges such as the Bombay Stock Exchange, that is the BSE, and the National Stock Exchange, NSE. So when an investor invests in equity, unlike a fixed income instrument, there is no capital guarantee. So listen to it carefully. There is no capital guarantee when you invest in your equity. Whatever money you might get, you might either lose it or you can make money and the total capital itself might go into a minus. So however, as a trade-off, the returns from equity investment can be extremely attractive. So Indian equities have generated returns 14% to 15% CAGR. Just a second, guys. Just
మీరు కాల్ చేస్తున్న వ్యక్తి సమాధానం ఇవ్వడం లేదు.
I'll have to exit. Thank you so much for reminding I have to mute you all. Yeah, so let me get back. Nice experience in what teachers experience. Yeah, let me get back. So the so as a trade-off, like as the risk involved is very high, your returns are also extremely attractive. So Indian equities have generated returns close to 14% to 15% CAGR. So CAGR is your compound annual growth rate from over past 15 years as per 2018. So investing in some of the best and well-run Indian companies have yielded over 20% CAGR in the long term. So identifying such investment opportunities requires skill, hard work, and patience. So it is not everyone's piece of cake to get into markets, invest. You need to have your background very well. You need to learn a lot about it and then get into investing. So it is not an easy thing. You may also be interested to know that the profits generated over a long-term period, that is above 365 days, also called as long-term capital gain, attract just 10% of tax, with the first 1 lakh being exempted from tax as per 2018. So this is an added attraction to investing in equities. So this is all about your equities in a brief manner. So let us move to the next one. That is your real estate. So real estate investments involve transacting, that is buying and selling, commercial and non-commercial land. So this we have always been learning about it since a lot of time. So we've learned the way the value of sites and the rent, as it has hiked up in a very high manner. In this process, you can make money. So this is what you're going to look into it. So transacting in general, like typical examples would be transacting in sites, apartments, farmlands, and commercial buildings. So there are two sources of income from real estate investments, namely the rental income, that is the rent you earn from the building you own, and the capital appreciation of the property itself. Like whatever, if you would have bought the land for 1 lakh and all of a sudden there's a highway or something coming beside it and the value of it goes boom. And you buy that and you make, in this difference, you make money. So the transaction procedure can be quite complex, involving a lot of legal verification of documents. So you'll have to check a lot of documents and it's a huge process when you compare it to the other investments. And the cash outlay in real estate investment is usually quite large. So you cannot deal with small amounts. So there is no official metric to measure the returns generated by real estate. So there is no particular kind of a measure that you can tell like so much percentage of returns has been done over the years. So hence it would be really hard to estimate the returns from the real estate. So this was about, in brief, about real estate. So let us look into the fourth and the final investment option that you can put your money in. That is gold. So investment in gold and silver is perceived as the safest investment option ever. So this is the perception generally widespread across the world. So if you buy more gold, it is like you're possessing more of the wealth and you're investing into it. So this is like a general perception that I would like to make a mention. So gold and silver over a long time period have appreciated a lot in the value. So investment in these metals have generally resulted in a return of approximately 7 to 8% over the last 20 years. So there are several ways to invest in gold and silver. One can choose to invest in the form of jewelry or exchange traded fund or the government issued gold bond. And in the newest times, you can also see that you can UPI and buy gold these days. It is that simple to invest. So we learned about all the four investment options that are basic and you can start with. So what is next? Let us see. So the next thing will be your asset allocation. So your investment should have a strong mix of all asset classes. So it is prudent to diversify your investment among the various assets to create an investment portfolio. So basically what it is that you need to invest your money in a very smart way. You cannot put all your money into one thing and expect you cannot expect very high returns from it, and you cannot keep yourself from investing also. So the technique of allocating money across assets is referred to as asset allocation. So let me give you an easy example, okay, to make you more easily understand. So imagine you are a young professional and can take a higher amount of risk given that you have your age and the number of years of retirement is still prolonged. Typically, such investors, the suggestion would be to go into 70% of your investments into equity and 20% in fixed income and 10% in gold and silver. 70% of equity because you'll have a very high capability to take risks as you are in a very young age. In case if you're losing your money, you can always make it back in the ages left. And and let me give the same example. If you consider, or the same logic, if you consider for a retired person. So as a retired person, you could invest 70% in fixed income, like as I told, the bonds and fixed deposits, as you don't have that capability when compared to a younger professional to take higher risks. In case you lose money, you may not get that chance, or you may not have so many years left to make that money back and get that financially stability back. And 20% in equity and 10% in precious metals. I've not taken the example of real estate because it takes a lot of huge amount of funds. So that is why I did not include it in this slide. And as you can imagine, the ratio in which one allocates investments across assets is dependent on the risk appetite of the investor. So as an individual, how much risk you're willing to take, that much returns you will get. So it is suggested that if you're younger, you can take higher risk. If you are close to your retirement or you're a retired person, you take lesser risk. So this was all about why and where you have to invest. So the reason for me to take this topic was that a lot of us imagine 30 years down the line. Okay, I'll just give you an example. Imagine your friend is paying EMIs as he starts his career. So he buys an iPhone, he wants to show off, and he gets a nice bike. And every asset he purchases, the minute he starts earning, is by EMIs, and he starts his career with debt. Whereas there is another guy who starts investing his money very essentially, and whatever is essential for him, he invests. So if you see like 10, 20 years down the line, the guy who started his career with all these EMIs and everything, he will have that guilt, or he should not, he will develop that kind of a thing that, okay, whatever asset I've purchased, the phone, the value of it has depreciated. It is like none. And whatever bike I've bought, like with EMIs on a very high cost, if you look at it when he's retired, it will be none. If it gives you happiness, yeah, it's a different thing. But I wanted to make a point here. And the guy who invested can buy anything he wanted at the time of his retirement. You have to wait, but you get the best when you're just saving a part of it. So that is why start early and be really safe, and you can be secure financially. So as it is COVID times and I'm taking this webinar online. So in case, imagine people who have invested, people who have made money, they are really stable. And people who have always spent and not foreseen that, thinking about tomorrow or any kind of future, are all struggling right now. And in today's time, it is even more easier for us to invest in shares and equities. We are like one click away to invest. So right now, As you start your bank accounts also, you can start investing by putting your money into all these public provident funds and different kinds of investments. You can buy gold online these days. So you're just one click away. So instead of spending it somewhere else, you can just start investing and not make that, not have that regret. That is what I would like to say. So the main reason was to bring this matter into your notice and to let all of you guys know that investing is really important. This earlier you start, the more money you make faster. So just imagine the example I gave was for 30 years. You start investing 30 years and into a 12%, and by the end of your retirement, you have 50%. You have your 4.2 crores left with you. Imagine doing the same thing when you're like 21. So you have this extra 9 years, and you can even retire even more faster. So that is why it is always start early. You might think that you may not get something today, but then when you see the future, you can never predict it. So always be ready for it financially. So start early, learn early, and invest smart, really smart. Because just because I told you to invest, you cannot just right away take your phones and then keep investing. It takes a lot of process. You need to learn a lot about it, do a lot of research if you're really interested in it, and then invest into it. But don't keep your cash idle. So I would like to end with that. Thank you.
I request Vidya ma'am to please talk a few words.
I think answer. Give my thank you.
If you have any questions, you can please drop the questions in the chat box. Any questions? You can either unmute yourself or you can drop it in the chat box. I don't think anybody has any questions. So would you?
Fine. Yeah. So I don't find any kind of questions. So if you have any kinds of doubts, you can always leave it off in the message chat box or unmute yourself. So first and foremost, I would like to thank the principal, Vidya Shivana ma'am, for giving me the opportunity, and also all the teachers, and especially Suresh sir and Spandana ma'am, for giving me this opportunity to talk and share my thoughts about investment and giving an opportunity to speak in this business lab. So thank you so much, ma'am, and all the teachers.
Okay. I would like to thank Vivekananda for all the efforts that he has put in to address the students on the topic why investing is important. And we are amazed at your presentation, Vivekananda. Many congratulations to you. And I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to our principal, Professor Vidya Shivananavar Madam, for supporting us in organizing this kind of a webinar. Thank you, ma'am. I would like to thank Assistant Professor Suresh B. Sir for his guidance in organizing the session. Thank you, sir. I would like to thank all the teaching and non-teaching fraternity and the students for their active participation throughout the webinar. Thank you. I would also like to thank Dilip sir for his technical support. Thank you, sir. Thank you, one and all. Okay, thank you one and all.